Hello. Hi everyone. Welcome to Guiding Voice podcast series. The Guiding Voice for a better future. This podcast is to help students and young professionals to shape their careers. Thank you for tuning in. This is Naveen and I will be the solo host today as Sudhakar is not joining. Dear listeners, in this episode, we want to cover a very important topic which is about computer networking. And we are pleased to welcome Melvin to our show today. With over 20 years of experience in the IT industry, Melvin Mamidi is a strong leader in the computer networking function. Melvin did his bachelor's in electrical engineering and did his postgraduate certification in general management PGCGM from IIM Kozhikode. Melvin is a certified project management professional, that is PMP, and coming to his key achievements, he was a founding member of Special Interest Group SIG in project management during his stint at ADP and also led Innovation Focus Group. At present, he is serving as a transformation leader in a product-based company based out of Hyderabad. So with his vast experience, let us get Melvin's views on the important topic of computer networking. And whenever I hear about computer networking, I remember a quote which our CTO mentioned during my early career days. So the opposite of networking is not working. In fact, network is the backbone of the information technology industry and touches almost every industry today. Especially given the pandemic, everybody have digitized their applications and their platforms, and everybody have adapted the digital tools, and network has become a backbone. Imagine a day when you don't have access to the internet. Network team plays a very, very vital role in any enterprise. They keep themselves awake in order to make the network up and running all the times. Thank you, Melvin, for joining us today and appreciate your time. Melvin, can we get started?
Yes, thank you so very much for your kind introduction, Naveen. It is a privilege and an honor to be a part of the Guiding Voice. I wish the Guiding Voice to be the new voice of this generation.
Thanks for the wonderful comment, Melvin. Appreciate it. So let me begin with my very first question. You have nearly 2 decades of work experience. Can you share with us about your corporate journey and what kind of roles you have taken and how you have molded or crafted your career?
Naveen, it will be quite surprising to know that I started with programming. I'm a programmer at heart. I started coding in Visual Basic and developed some interesting applications using client-server architecture. Then I worked in US for 2 years, and during that time I built some cool interfaces using XML and secure HTTP, which was the latest technology at that time. AT&T, our partner, has been quite appreciative of my expertise in building this application. Later on, I moved to India and worked in a product-based company for a good amount of time. During this time, I explored myself in Microsoft technologies of .NET and SQL Server for CRM application, content management system using SharePoint, and SQL Server reporting services for analytical reporting. Apart from this, I engaged myself in spearheading the culture of innovation and a founding member of project management group as part of a special interest group, which helped me work closely with the senior leadership team. Then I got an opportunity to work in another product-based company in networking domain. After going through the interview process and on being selected, I requested them to give me a day to discuss with my wife and update on the status of accepting the offer. At that time, I asked 2 questions with myself and wanted to be very honest with my answers. First question being, do I have the fire in my belly to take this opportunity? And second question, can I bring value to the role which I'll be accepting? On discussing with my wife and honestly answering these 2 questions, Naveen, I have taken the opportunity. That's how I ended up in networking domain and successfully leading this group for the past 5 plus years.
That's quite enticing journey, and you have touched almost many parts of the IT industry. So, Melvin, your expertise has been majorly in the networking domain where you grew as a leader. So, how do you think someone who want to start their career in the networking, what it takes for them to get into the domain?
That's a good question, Naveen. First and foremost, for anyone to kickstart their career in networking, one has to have a passion for networking. Computer science and electronic engineers will have an advantage since they have these topics in their engineering. Any other engineer or graduate, if they have the interest and aptitude for networking, can get into this domain technology. It is good for anyone to get trained on CCNA, basic networking concepts, in a good institute to have a feel of networking. To top it with the CCNA certification will be the icing on the cake to start this wonderful networking journey.
All right, that's quite interesting. And you mentioned about CCNA certification. So, can we talk a bit about the certifications like CCNA, which is Cisco Certified Network Associate, and CCENT, Cisco Certified Entry Networking Technician, CCNP, Cisco Certified Networking Professional, and CCIE, which stands for Cisco Certified Inter-Network Expert. So nowadays, we also come across Amazon, AWS, Microsoft Azure, and Google Cloud, Oracle Cloud certifications. So do you think these certifications are mandatory?
Naveen, any certification on a resume stands out, okay? So having a certification is always good. And recently, Cisco has actually made some changes to its certification and given a new naming convention. But again, ideally, I think we'll try to go with the general understanding of CCNA, CCNP, and CCIE. I would like to classify CCNA as an entry or beginner level certification. CCNP is at intermediate level and CCIE is at an expert level. For CCNA has a good understanding of Cisco products and how it works. At CCNA level, the focus is much more on troubleshooting, and CCIE is basically where an engineer will be working on network of networks. We all know that the industry is moving to cloud. Either it is a private cloud, public cloud, or a hybrid cloud. So having a knowledge of cloud technology, either Microsoft, Azure, AWS, Google Cloud, or Oracle Cloud will be quite helpful. Coming to cloud certification, it is good to have, but not must have category. We all know that the industry is moving towards cloud. Either it is a private, public, or hybrid. So having a knowledge of cloud technology, either Microsoft, Azure, AWS, Google, or Oracle will be quite helpful. And coming to the cloud certification, it is good to have, but it is not necessary.
Thank you for those insights, Melvin. So, what are some of the jobs available in this domain, and how does the career graph look like?
Naveen, if you were to ask me, there are no dearth of jobs available for a network engineer. Again, I would like to classify the jobs available in three areas as monitoring and support. Second one would be building configurations and installations, and finally designing and architecting solutions. In monitoring and support, one is expected to review the alerts and act accordingly, either review, resolve, or escalate as the situation may be. For implementation, an engineer will have to build the configurations and do the installation of the network devices. And finally, if one has a good experience and expertise in networking, then one can get into designing and architecting networking solutions.
That's quite useful information. Now, slightly switching gears, you have moved from programming to CRM maintenance and then from there on to networking. Likewise, any young professional, right, might be interested in making a lateral move, okay, who wanted to try diverse domain and explore networking as an option. So what are some of the tips that you would like to share with them?
Naveen, I think this is a good question. My simple and sweet answer for anyone venturing into networking is if Melvin can, anyone can get into networking. Rather than a tip, my sincere suggestion for a profession, rather than a tip, my sincere suggestion for a professional is to have a passion for learning and working on networking technology.
I think you summed it very well, Melvin.
Thank you.
Having passion and also yourself being a role model. So I'm sure everybody can take a plunge into it. Now, can we talk a little bit about your personal hobbies, etc.?
Yeah, Naveen, there have been quite a few. We know that, okay, we grew up with toys and then venture into lot many things. Later on, it was photography. And now I think with the way we work on technology, so learning is one thing which has become a hobby. Previously, it was more of an interest. Now it has become a hobby and has become integral part of my life. And I spend a good amount of time in learning, not necessarily in networking, but again, any subjects or areas which is worth reading. So this is how actually I have been looking for myself in the past few years about my hobbies. And from time to time, I indulge myself in writing poetry, which releases my creative juices.
Yeah, poetry. This is something that has come for the first time, and we are getting to know some secrets about you, Melvin. So definitely, I would like to chase you to share some of the poems that you have written.
Sure, Naveen. I think it would be my pleasure.
Thanks, Melvin. So, off late, you have been posting a lot of posts on LinkedIn. And what is your personal advice from your leadership hat to our listeners?
Naveen, I believe that with our experience, we have come a long way in our lives, wherein we would like to give something back to the society. And as you and Sudhakar are doing an amazing job with the guiding voice, so am I posting which I have learned through professional networking of LinkedIn. So for me, a leadership tip is not about creating followers, basically meaning that yes man, but in creating more leaders. I think this is what actually I would like to leave a thought with.
Yeah, that's very well said. Leadership is about creating more leaders rather than followers. What is your mantra which keeps you moving, Melvin?
Naveen, this is something which I have been diligently following all through my professional career. So it is basically start early and complete early. Then you can indulge in your passion or your hobbies, and at the same time spend some good quality time with your family.
All right, so that's a fabulous conversation, and thank you so much for accepting our invite despite your other commitments and sharing a lot of insights about networking and also sharing some of the tips from your leadership hat. So it's amazing to have you here, Melvin. Thank you again.
Thank you, Naveen, for giving this opportunity. It was an interesting conversation, and hopefully what you and Sudhakar are trying to do, I think it would reach more people, and it would be really helpful listening to all the stalwarts from various aspects of technology as well as various areas. It has been really revelation for me also, as I have been following the guiding voice over the last couple of months. Thank you so much once again for having me on this particular show. Thanks.
Our pleasure, Melvin. Dear listeners, it brings us to the trivia segment of today's episode. And today's trivia is something related to the internet access tool. Now that we had a conversation with Melvin about networking, so we thought, why don't we talk about something which enables us to connect to the internet? So that is nothing but we'll talk a little bit about a browser. Here comes the question to everyone. Do you know which animal is portrayed in Firefox browser logo? Come on, keep thinking. Probably you might be thinking it is a fox. In case if you are thinking if it is a fox, here is a secret. It is not a fox. It is actually a panda, a red panda. And the English word for red panda is Firefox. So the browser is named against red panda. So it is called as Firefox. Interesting, isn't it? Dear listeners, we are open for suggestions on topics that you like to hear from us through our email, and our email address is The Guiding Voice, number 4, letter U, @gmail.com. And you may also WhatsApp us on our India number 9494587187. Also, we are available on all social media platforms like LinkedIn, Pinterest, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and also on YouTube. Just search for The Guiding Voice and follow us or like us or subscribe to us. So there is more in store. Until next time, have a wonderful time. Thank you for listening. Take care and be safe.